Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt T-Connector Wiring Harness here on a 2021 Hyundai Tucson. So our trailer wiring harness is going to be required when we're towing a trailer because we need a way to transmit the signals from the vehicle to the trailer behind us to let others out on the road know what we're going to be doing. It is required by law in every state. We can also utilize a trailer wiring harness if we have any such sort of cargo carrier or bike rack with integrated lights. A lot of these can actually block the vehicle's taillights, which is illegal. Therefore, they have integrated lights, and we can utilize those with our trailer connector. So there's a few different types of trailer connectors on the market. Probably the most common and basic one is going to be the 4-pole flat that we have here. That's going to accommodate most smaller trailers. Now there are some other larger trailers out there that have electric brakes, and if it does have electric brakes, you're actually going to need a 7-way. We do offer some adapters to adapt this from a 4-way to a 7-way if that's what your trailer has. So here you can see that we have the trailer connector secured to the safety chain loops on our trailer hitch here. When we're ready to use it, we would simply just undo that, bring it out here, that way we could plug it into the trailer connector on our trailer. So this is going to be the most economical option to secure this. There is, however, another method. You can purchase a series of brackets that we sell at eTrailer here, and they're actually going to let you permanently mount the trailer connector to the actual trailer hitch body. It makes for a little bit of a nicer finish, but you obviously need to purchase a couple more brackets as well. So the choice is up to you. Either option is going to work great. There are a couple nice things about this kit specifically. Number one, it offers complete plug-and-play installation, so we don't have to do any splicing into our factory taillight circuits. It's also going to have a powered module, therefore the lights on our trailer aren't actually going to be drawing any power from the tail lights. They're going to be drawing it from the vehicle's battery. They're simply going to be receiving the signal for our tail lights. This also means that any issues we have on the trailer won't have a chance of affecting our vehicle here and causing any damage. So now that we've gone over a little bit about the wiring harness, let's go ahead and jump into the installation. You guys can definitely do this one at home, and we'll show you how step by step now. So we need to remove our tail lights, and the first step to do that is to open the hatch, come inside here to either side. We're going to have this little black plastic cover. We need to remove that. That's going to reveal the screws which are holding the tail light to the body. So we're just going to be taking a plastic trim panel tool here, and we're just going to be prying up along the outside edges here in order to free that panel. You want to be careful not to break any of the tabs in there, so just go ahead and take your time, slowly work your way around. Now once we have that cover removed, we'll take a 10mm socket, we'll remove the 2 screws here. And once these are out, we should be able to pull the taillight out and away. There are some alignment tabs there which make it a pretty tight fit. But once we get it out here, we're going to remove the connector, simply depress that tab right there, and we should be able to pull out. And we'll simply just repeat that same process on the other side. So now starting over on the driver's side here, we're going to be taking some sort of pull wire. We're going to be using a piece of airline tubing. We're simply going to stick it down to that opening in our taillight pocket here. We won't be able to come out underneath all the way yet because there'll be a panel in the way. We want to make sure we get our airline down there. When we do remove that panel, we can easily just reach up there and grab that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually take our wiring harness here. We're going to be taking the connector here with the brown, yellow, and red wires. We're going to tape that to our airline tubing that we ran down through here. Now you will need to remove this panel first. There's going to be 3 fasteners, one here, and one on the inside. They're just those push pin fasteners. We'll just release the center of them. Then we can pull this panel straight out. And then that's when you'll tape it to your airline tubing. Now we'll go back up top there. We'll pull our airline tubing through the taillight pocket so we can fish our connectors behind there. Now that we have our 2 connectors here up into the taillight housing area, we're going to plug one of them into the factory connector on the vehicle. It should only go in one way. We should hear it click when it locks into place. And now we'll take the other end here, we'll actually attach that to the back of our taillight. And now we can go ahead and reinstall our taillight here. You may need to actually push the connectors down into that little opening there to get everything to fit. Now we'll just simply reinstall our cover. So now we're going to come back underneath here, and at this point we're going to mount our converter box. So in our kit here, you're going to get some double-sided tape we can attach to the back of that, then find a surface to stick it on up here with. However, I really recommend utilizing this little tab at the top here and getting a self-tapping screw. You do have one that comes in your kit, but we're going to need to use that for the ground. So you'll need an extra self-tapping screw if you want to secure it this method. Either is fine. I just prefer this one using the self-tapping screw because it's a little bit more sturdy. Basically, I'm just going to attach it to this little flange here, just like that. You can see it's nice and solid now. Now we'll take our white wire here. We're going to go ahead and ground this to a bare piece of metal there using our self-tapping screw. So we're just going to come up here, but really any bare metal surface in this area will be fine. Now we're going to take our other connector here with the green bundle of wires coming from the converter box. We're going to route that from the driver's side over to the passenger side there, and then we're going to use the same method to get it into the taillight pocket and then plug it into our actual taillight. So here's our green wire here. You want to make sure you give yourself some slack here because we have our panel that has to go back on. So what we did is we just came over here. Now if you have your trailer hitch installed, we just routed it over the cross tube and then into this little pocket here. We're going to have some factory wires here running alongside the back of our bumper. We just simply used a zip tie to secure it to these factory wiring harness. Every few inches or so, it comes over here. And then when we get to this part here, we need to be really careful because our exhaust is right here. So there's going to be a little metal bracket here. We're going to go over that, and then we're going to route it past the other side here down into this pocket. Keep in mind, we do have to remove that panel here. We showed you how to do that earlier. So here we have the remaining green wire in our connectors. We're simply going to use that pull wire we used earlier, fish it down behind the bumper so we can tie it to that and then pull it up through. So now we're going to take our bonded 4-pole here. This is what it looks like. You're going to unravel it, and we're actually going to be routing this over to about where the receiver tube is on our trailer hitch. We'll probably use the same path that we routed the green wire earlier to get to about the midway point, and then we'll secure it to these safety chain tabs here on the trailer hitch using the included dust cap. There is also an alternative method. We can purchase a series of brackets to attach it to the hitch tube as well, whichever you prefer. The series of brackets is going to be a little bit permanent, more of a nicer finish, but it'll work just as fine, save us some money if we want to attach it to the safety chain tabs. So here you can see we have our 4-pole mounted and secured to the safety chain loops using the dust cap that comes in our kit. I went ahead and just tied it to the existing wiring that's already back behind the bumper there. Actually went back and forth a few times since we're going to have plenty of extra. But now what we're going to do next is we should have one other wire coming from our converter box, which is this black wire here. That's going to be the power wire. We're going to run this to the battery, which is located in the engine bay. So we're going to crimp on a yellow butt connector, and then we're going to attach one end of the bundle of wire that came in our kit here. Looks like this. We'll first need to strip back a few millimeters here off the jacket, and then we'll crimp it into the other end of the butt connector. Once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and route the wire up to the engine bay here. We'll do that now, and then we'll show you the path we took. Once I'm done there, I'm going to finish cleaning up the extra wires that we have hanging down here and reinstalling our panel on both sides. So between our fabric liner here and this plastic panel, we have our power wire routing out from the converter box, which is behind here. Now we came up and over the subframe here. There's two sections of it. And then we should see some brake lines here. We went ahead and zip tied our power wire to these brake lines. We have it zip tied a couple more places here and here. And so we're going to run along here all the way to our brake lines under this panel here. So you're going to need a 10mm socket. There's going to be one screw here, one screw here. We're going to remove those and tilt down our panel. And then we're going to have access to the brake lines that we can continue securing our power wire to all the way up until we exit right here. I went ahead and routed the power wire over these little support brackets here and here and through here, as we can see. and then I have it ran up into the engine bay. In order to get it up there, you're going to want to go ahead and take some sort of pull wire, fish it down through the engine bay, bring it out in this area, then you can tire your power wire to that and then pull it up into the engine bay. So once we have our power wire ran up into the engine bay here, you're going to use a couple zip ties to secure it to the existing wiring. That way the wire doesn't fall back down, get in the way of the steering or the exhaust or anything. But then we're going to route it over to the positive terminal in our battery, which is going to be located straight here. We're going to have a cover on there. So we're going to have our wire ran over to the positive battery terminal. What we're going to do is we're going to cut off the excess. So we're not going to need that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our fuse holder here that comes in our kit. We're going to have some excess on there as well. I'm going to cut off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the ring terminal here that comes in our kit. So it looks like this. We're going to crimp that on to one end of the fuse holder, and then we are going to crimp on a butt connector to the other end and attach that to our power wire. Once we get that crimped on there, what we're going to do next is we're going to take a 10mm socket. We're going to remove this nut here. Make sure we don't lose that nut down the engine bay. And then we're simply going to attach the ring terminal of our fuse holder to that. And we'll re-secure it with the factory nut. And what you'll notice is if we try to close the lid, that ring terminal there is going to get in the way. So I'm going to mark where it is, and I'm going to take a pair of snips here. I'm just going to cut a little slot in there to allow clearance of the ring terminal when we shut the lid. Just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and insert our fuse into the fuse holder. So now we're going to go ahead and plug in our 4-pole tester. If you have your trailer nearby, you can use that as well. We're going to use this to test out all of our lights to make sure all our functions are working. We have our brakes, left turn, right turn, and then finally tail lights. And that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Curt T-Connector trailer wiring harness here on our 2021 Hyundai Tucson.